Just really interesting, that data point from the Global AI Faculty Survey. 80% of faculty report a lack of institutional clarity on how AI can be applied to teaching. It's a pretty significant number.
And I really appreciate that you drew that out, Alex, because that is one of the things when I talk to a lot of different institutions at the administrative level, a lot of times they'll say, yeah, we're communicating out, we support our faculty, we want them to do things, we're very supportive of them going places and doing things with AI. And then you talk to the individual faculty or individual staff and they say, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do. I know I've been given this tool, that tool, I know I've gone to this training, but what am I supposed to actually do? And how am I supposed to actually implement this? And are they really on board? I know they say they are, but are they? And so I think that clarity is a real challenge, is how do we communicate out to the community to be able to say, this is what we see as our vision, this is what we see as a roadmap, this is what we see as essential, and this is how we're going to support you in ways that can actually have you move forward.